Well, Martin, the X Factor is really all about the turning of the of the body and what the body does in the golf swing. So when I wrote the book, I looked at all of the other things being written, and not anything had really been written on just what the body does in the golf swing. So when I'm looking at a golf swing, I could look at the four turns in the golf swing, and one would be the knees, which really aren't turning, but from the back angle, you can see there's an angle on your knees, which is doubled about with your hips, which again is about doubled by your shoulders. So those are just kind of numbers. But I had heard 90 degrees and 45 degrees growing up, and I knew the guys were turning and the girls were turning more than that on their backswing. So I was looking at how you load up and how you develop power into your golf swing and hit the ball further and more accurately. So doing that, I could study what the body was doing. I always looked at the main four power sources in golf. One being the wrists and hands, which you just talked about, Martin, and that you could hit the ball only so far with your hands and wrists. And then you have your arms and hands and wrists, and you could swing and hit it not very far doing that. But then the body comes in, and it does the rotation and the weight shift. So those are the two things that the body does. So if you take away the golf club and just eliminate things, which is a big part of my teaching, of eliminating until I can understand what's going on, until my students know what they're trying to do. So now when I get into this power structure, a power setup, which we briefly talked about earlier on, and as we teased the program, the balance, I always remember watching Jack Grout and Jack Nicklaus working together, and Jack would work off the insides of his legs, and he'd do a lot of little work like this before he'd start hitting balls, and he actually put the club behind him every day I ever saw him before he started to work, to get the freedom in the hips and get the legs moving and working off the insides of the body. So now once we've got this established, now we look at how we get this golf club away. And I could talk forever here, Martin, on all of the things that we could talk about, but let's talk about left side or right side. I'm a right-handed player, so it used to be talked that you could only go left side. Some players are left side players, some are right side players. But if I wanted to think of my dominant hand, I think this could help a lot of people in their backswing action. If you thought of your right hand moving the golf club away, you could have your center, your upper center and lower center move with the club in the takeaway. And this gets you I would say, a long right arm. What I wouldn't want to see is for you to bury your right arm right here in your backswing, which really shortens your arc. So you can take that club away. If I just focus on the right arm and taking that golf club away without a club in my hands, I can start to feel also where maybe I just feel my chest take the golf club away. And now I'm starting to have things work together. From here, my right arm begins to bend and forms an L position. And this is the L that I'm looking at right here, but it's also an L under here. And it also could be a little L with the right wrist cocking at the top of the backswing. So now I can show that to somebody, and then if they continue their turn, we see that the right arm goes behind me as I get into the full back coil position. My left shoulder gets behind the golf ball, and now I'm in this real power position. Some folks I've seen try to just take their right arm right out here in front of them, but that ends up having you look like this in your backswing with the elbows really close together, and again, the right arm's buried underneath the left arm. So this action right here, as I just break down one part of the X Factor, showing that you've developed this L. Now when we change direction, which is probably the most important move in golf, and I love to talk about movements in golf, the moves in the golf swing. When I make the move, you just leave this alone. You don't move it out. You don't drop it back like some people think, drop it to the inside. You want to move the whole apparatus forward with the lower center or your knees or your feet starting down. And now I've done nothing. If I put a golf club in my hands.
Let's see, can you hit one for us, Jim? I know you're not warmed up, but can you show us?
Well, let me take one swing and give you this little feel.
One, she's warmed up.
And put you in this little, we call it the little power line. This will be my first swing of the day, Martin. Thanks for doing this.
You can handle it.
And then going to a balanced finish. Yeah. That's a little bit of the X Factor.
You know, so let's see you hit one and put that into Jim.
I like what you said, Jim. I like what he said, Martin, where you took your club out of your hand. which
Yeah.
I think everybody at home needs to do. All of our audience, we always try to get them something to do while they're standing in their living room. So you don't have to be on the driving range to practice that part and get your L's here and here behind you. So I just want to make sure I'm doing it right.
I would love to say to the viewers at home on a day of national instruction, let's see you hit one, sir.
Okay.
But if you want to get more distance, find anything written by Jim McLean, anything at all, because his work on the body action has influenced so many, myself included,